Today I'm doing a review of Charmed Life by Diane Wynne Jones, a part of her The Crestomancy, The Worlds of Crestomancy. It's a 1977 fantasy novel, a children's novel, sort of pitched at sort of a kind of a Harry Potter 1 and 2 level if you're looking for kind of that sort of thing. I do not know my age group, so I'm an adult reading a children's book. That said, it's in one of these children's books which I feel like kind of gave me some rewards as an adult, so might be of use to people who are listening to this and would like to get into some Diane Wynne Jones. In this book, Gwendolyn and Kat Chant, they're orphaned. They end up getting sent away to the castle Crestomancy to be educated by Crestomancy, this big powerful figure in the society. The sister Gwendolyn gets into this massive power struggle with Chestermancy, and sparks fly, and you get to see this very interesting kind of alternate magical world. This is a world where wizards and witches and warlocks and enchanters exist in a fairly good number, and there's a definite alteration in the history. This isn't one of these books where they pretend, oh, there's magic in the world, but somehow nothing else has changed. It's like, no, there's, instead of a King George, because it seems to be kind of Edwardian or post-Victorian time, there's no King George on the throne. There's a King Charles, and it sounds like the French one earlier. That and it comes up later that there's not America, there's Atlantis, and it's ruled by the Incas. So it really gives you kind of there is really this sense of this is an alternate world. That said, for all I'm talking about Gwendolyn and having this power struggle, the main point of view of the book is from Kat, and indeed you can tell just from the very opening lines of the book that this is going to be something that's going to focus on Kat. Kat Chant admired his elder sister Gwendolyn. She was a witch. He admired her and he clung to her. Great changes came about in their lives and left him no one else to cling to. So yes, this is very much is a book about Kat trying to kind of come to some sort of a thing of his confidence. He's quite cowed character. He's quite timid. He's quite kind of always reacting to his sister. That said, this is one of these books where it actually made some very interesting narrative surprises. About halfway through the book, this book just switches up in a way that you don't really see much in adult books, much less in a children's book. And I won't spoil that surprise for you, but just to let you know that Diane Wynne Jones is definitely one of these writers who's not afraid to do different things in her books. And I mean, maybe this is because I'm looking at something like a children's book you'd think would be this is the most conservative of media of kind of stories. But Diane Wynne Jones was someone who does seem to like to stir the pot, like to upend conventions, and like to spring things on the readers. Another thing in the book is that I very much in books like you'll get like adults kind of written for children. So they'll be like, if they're going to be mean to the children, it's because, well, they're evil versus, they're just adults. Like you very much feel like this is a children's story, but these are children going through a world that very, very easily you could go around the bend and there'd be an adult, a mature story going on. And indeed, some of the themes in here of the realizations and having to come to a maturity really to come to the fore. And that's not just like, because the book opens with them being orphaned, the parents dying in a paddle wheel accident, steam paddle accident. And in some ways that's kind of played a little bit for, I don't know, laughs is the right way, but it's like you're not surprised at the beginning of a book when the two heroes their parents get killed. That's like par for the course. But throughout the book there is just stuff like they get taken care of by Mrs. Sharp at the beginning. And, she's doing this because she's getting paid for it. And the kids are sort of aware of that. But they're like, but they don't make it just like, oh, she's just doing it for the money. No, she actually does care for them. But as the book goes along, Kat kind of does come to the realization of like, yeah, she cares for me, but she also kind of cares for money, which is one of those, I think, important things for actually a child to actually understand about motivations for adults who they're around. But it's very much, it's a kind of a disenchantment. It's a pulling back pulling back on kind of expressing some hard truths that you would not see in a lesser fantasy book. And I just found that really impressive and really engaging. And indeed, you get to the end of the book and there's some really hard hitting stuff. There's some stuff in here that like, wow. And they come out, especially Kat comes out of this book wiser, but also sadder. And that's like a really brave thing, I think, for a children's book to do. And might be one of the reasons why, this is Diane Wynne Jones is not one of your, the hero's going to triumph and everyone's going to kind of sail off happily ever after sort of things. And, J.K. Rowling gets jumped on a lot for, oh, you ripped off Diane Wynne Jones. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But and I think it's notable to say just in this book she kept it like in Harry Potter 1 or 2 level. She got to kind of a sadness and kind of a thing within a very thin book. She got to that kind of a level of, wow, you're going to have to accept some hard truths, kids, and you're going to be wiser and you're going to be better protected. You're going to be better able to get through this world. But it's not, it's not la 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 happy happy happy. And I really appreciated that, and I think that appealed to me. I probably someone like Cat Chant in the book, who is this not confident young boy, is someone I could identify with as not being a really super confident young boy, and still having my confidence issues now, and still having be able to stick up for myself is something I think I still struggle with. So I think it's funny how something like this, like, oh, here's a middle-aged guy saying how much he enjoyed this book and how it touched him. It's like, well, yeah, I think if you've got a really good writer, that can happen, and that's the boon of children's literature when it really works. I think there's a lot of stuff that's just very surface, very kind of trite messaging, which you can dispense with. But when you find literature, you find it anywhere, and I think I found literature here. Now, Diane Wynne Jones, this is a part of a series, but Diane Wynne Jones, of course, does not do a series where, oh, we're going to just do the continuing adventures of the Chant children. It jumps back and forward. The next book isn't good. It doesn't, like, I think Cat shows up in other books, but not all of them. It's much more in the world, and I'm going to explore these stories, and I'm not going to be pinned down, because this is not a writer who's going to write your bog simple series, because luckily she was working in a time when there wasn't those constraints, and I don't blame the writers nowadays that have to find a way to get their stories published, that they have to kind of play ball. And but good on having someone like Diane Wynne Jones there to see what happens when you really let a writer play free. That's the video. So more videos later. Bye for now.